Hey, what's up,
you guys? We're back on Zoom. But instead of being in different places, we're in the same place. And the people that are in a different place are our guests for this week, Michael Berry and Johnno Cary. I didn't even realize their names rhymed.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. That's nuts.
These are two really funny fellows. I've had the pleasure of meeting them through collegiate improv, and Jake's actually watched some of their videos without spoiling anything. Really, they are. Michael has a channel on YouTube called LikeAFox Studios where he writes and produces sketches that Johnno, also contributes to, whether that be through acting or, pitching sketch ideas and writing some of his own sketches as well. We are super excited to have both of them on the podcast and interview them and just talk about comedy. So the following is our interview with them. So hope you guys enjoy that.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. Listen
to it.
And my suffering.
Jake and I often forget to introduce the people we're interviewing, and then we just go the whole podcast just talking to strangers. So,
hey, I'm Michael. I'm a former Mizzou student. I got a YouTube channel called LikeAFox Studios, and I'm a Sagittarius.
Ooh,
that is interesting to know.
What is that Sagittarius sun, right?
I don't know. I've been told I'm a Sagittarius, so
for sure.
I'm like, yeah.
I did think immediately when you joined, I was like, that's a Sagittarius for sure.
I didn't think that, but
I don't even know when that is in the. When is your birthday, Michael? Dock yourself a little. Oh, December.
Yeah. Shit. In December, I turned 24. Like,
whoa.
He's so old.
Oh my God. Everybody hop into the comments, say happy birthday, Michael.
Yeah. This will be airing in December.
Yeah.
I think that's my cue.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. I'm Johnno. I'm a current Mizzou student. I'm in my last semester. I am a frequent participant of LikeAFox Studios videos. And I have a lot of fun doing them. I'm getting a. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm getting a FaceTime. I can't.
Wow.
Shut up. Go away. I can't stop. Oh my God. Oh, okay. I'm Johnno. I do improv. Crazy.
Yeah, that's actually that's how I met Michael and Johnno. Is that my alma mater, Ball State University. We have an improv team. I used to be on it, and we traveled to your guys' festival because you guys also do improv, and we met that way. You guys are very funny. We had a great relationship with your guys' troupe. Lots of fun times. And but this is like separate from that, right? Like this is because you guys don't do this through school. This is just like Michael, your whole like thing.
This is just like your thing.
Yeah, this is just my whole thing.
I think because we have at Ball State, like we had this club where we would do sketch comedy. And so I was like, oh, like because the quality of your guys' videos is so high. I was like, oh, this must be just like a school thing that they do. And then I was shocked to find out this is just stuff that you guys do on your free time, which is awesome because that was not a false compliment. Like I'm always just so impressed with like the quality of both the writing and like the filming part of your guys' stuff. I love it.
I would say the cast is all basically stolen from the comedy clubs at Mizzou. So it's like an unofficial like fifth comedy club at Mizzou. That's I'm the dictator of, I guess.
Michael is our benevolent king.
Follows no university guidelines.
Yeah, I feel like I noticed that when you guys were in a gun store. I was
yeah, Grace actually before the podcast started was like wondering aloud as to like how that happened. Like how like was there just a gun store where you like knew a guy or
Okay, there's actually kind of a long. I'll summarize it, but there's kind of a long story with that one where. So I wrote a sketch that involved a gun store that I thought was funny and I wanted to make. So I reached out to like 5 gun stores in town because in the Midwest there's always a bunch. Probably just in America there's a bunch. So I reached out to like 5 gun stores and one guy responded to me and was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna be like 2 hours. Like we could probably do the whole thing in 2 hours," which I wouldn't say today. I would say like we're looking at 3.5 hours maybe. But I told him 2 hours at the time. And he was a really good sport. And then we got there and we filmed and we had like a crew of 4, like it was a super small group. We filmed, we weren't as on task as I wish we were. But we got to like an hour and 40 minutes. And then he's in like the back room letting us film with all of his guns. And so I knock on his door and I'm like, "Hey, can you like we're getting really close to being done," because we were. And I was like, we made like amazing pace if you think about what's normal for a shoot. So we were like making really good pace. So I knock on his door and say, "Hey, just gonna be a second, but we're like 20 minutes out from 8, which is when we're supposed to be done. But we probably have like 30 minutes of stuff left. Is that okay if we go a little bit over?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's fine." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then we film. And then once it becomes 8 and I go, "Okay, we got 10 minutes more of stuff, but I'm going to go remind him that we're going over time." And I'm about to go remind him that we're going over time. And he comes out of the thing and is like, "All right, it's 8 o'clock. You guys said you'd be wrapped up by now. So like, it's time to go." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, and he sees that we're in the middle of something and probably doesn't want all of the work, all of the waiting he just did to be for nothing. So he goes, "You got 5 minutes." And so like, I'm like, "Okay, well, we need to finish a shot. Like we have one shot and then we can cut a lot of the ending and it'll still work as an ending." And it doesn't even seem in the video like we're missing a scene. But we had to cut like 5 lines at the very end and it actually made a better ending. But it was just like, so we did that and then we all like hurried out of there and then we had to film in the parking lot while he left. And yeah, kind of a scary interaction. We got yelled at by a gunman. Not a gunman, but a man of gun. So yeah.
I already was like telling Jake, I was like, I'm gonna ask to plug this sketch. It's called One Bullet, One Gun, or One Gun, One Bullet.
Yeah.
And because I love Thomas, who is like the guy in the sketch who's buying the gun. I think that Thomas is probably one of the funniest people that I've met like through improv, like collegiate improv. Because every time he does anything, I can't stop laughing. So that's like probably my favorite sketch that you guys have done just because I think it's so ridiculous. So is that like, I guess that leads me to another question is like, how does the writing work? Like, do you write everything, Michael, or like, is it like a collaborative thing? Do you guys like shoot the shit and then like pitch ideas and kind of turn that into a sketch or?
So I would say I write like 90% of it. But there is collaboration. There's a lot more collaboration now than there was back, like in that video, it was 2019. There's a lot more collaboration now. We have a new kind of like, there's a new style of skit we've been doing lately that's more like character based and it's more like a bunch of like a montage of little clips. And those we have a lot of improv in and we have a lot of like coming up with bits. You know, we write out some bits, but we come up with some on the fly. But relatively for like the scripted stuff, I would say that that's mostly like 90% written by me. Every so often, I'll do a script written by my friend Jonah. There's one by Quinn. There's a couple by Johnno. So, you know, if people come to me with a sketch and they're like, "Hey, we should make this," and I like really like the idea and I can like have a vision of it, like like Johnno has a skit that he wrote that then we kind of together we like sort of added to and like gave it this whole new ending that we've been trying to film all year, and we should be filming it in about a month or 2. But I'm very excited for it because it's going to be like our big like money production this year. But I'm really excited for it, and I'm really proud because it's like I couldn't have written it alone. It's like it's very much Johnno is like in the script. Like you can tell he is doing a lot of work in the writing.
Oh my god,
I'm excited. I think, yeah.
How's your mango? Johnno
It's
revealed earlier that he's eating a mango.
For any
so
audio listener,
fucking
throughout
good.
the whole thing, Johnno has just been like picking up slowly like a small piece of a mango and setting it down. Is it worth it? Is it good?
I wouldn't trade this for the world. I'm on cloud fucking 9 right now, brother.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Welcome back to the End My Suffering Mango Hour, ladies and gentlemen. But taking off the silly voice I just did, Michael, you mentioned that this thing that you guys worked on, that Johnno you wrote, is like that are working on, is like your big money shoot for like this current like era of LikeAFox, like
This season.
This season, yeah. Like, what's the scale of that? And is it like an abnormally large scale in terms of like production?
It's actually really not. It's not that crazy. It's just that recently we have not been doing a lot of big, like high costume, high, it's a video with more prop work and more costume work than we've done recently. And I'm trying to really get like a nice cinematic look. Kind of like you can see it actually pretty clearly on the channel, where I have a playlist that's called like short films, and those are the sketches, and they're all sketches, but they're the sketches that I think like, okay, well I've achieved like a bit more like professional look with these, or like kind of more cinematic looking, and that's what we're going for when I say like big production, where I've put quite a bit of money into it, and we've got all these costumes. Like Johnno's got this really awesome costume that you guys all see it, but it's a really cool look, and I'm excited for it. It's just the type of thing that you can't do like every other week. You have to kind of be like, okay, well now we have to like storyboard all this, and we have to plan a whole lot in advance. But it's really exciting.
I guess this is a question for both of you, but Johnno can speak to it a little bit. So like, what is that casting like when you're writing something? Are you like, oh, I want Johnno to play this character, or is like you bring it to the team and Johnno's like, oh, I want to do this? Like, what's it like being like a performer, I guess, for you, Johnno? And then Michael, when you're writing, because you're doing this with your friends, like how much of the writing is based off of like who you know is going to play that character?
Well, I think Michael has a very good sense of like, he writes in like different tones. I don't know. A lot of his characters and a lot of the sketches, it's I mean, I feel like I write a pretty similar way. He just does it a lot more and a lot better than me. But there's always just kind of like the guy, and it's like someone that doesn't quite understand what's going on, or like has like some like really warped, fucked view of reality. And that can happen like in a few different ways. And I feel like kind of as we have gotten to know our different friends and our roommates and people like that, and we like understand their senses of humor better, that kind of allows us to write characters like for them. Like if you watch like some of Michael was saying, like the character skits that have been done recently, like our roommate Max, who's like the guy with the septum piercing, he does like the Nigel Beans video and the Louis Armstrong video and the like Harry Potter doesn't understand what a cut is video. His like sense of humor is like really like cerebral and just like kind of and just like really out. I don't know. It's like very like brainy and very like, what if there is the thing, like I don't know how to describe it other than that. But it's like we never did those videos before we knew Max. And then like as Max became our friend, as we kind of understood his sense of humor better, it like allowed us to like tap in, or allowed Michael to tap into like this whole, I feel, other like kind of humor style of video type thing that just works really well. And it's the same thing with everybody, you know, with our friend Brandon, with me, you know, with Sarah, with really anybody.
Yeah, would you say that you guys have like, well, I guess like for the two of you, could you like pinpoint whether it's a media product or like a sketch that you yourself have made, like something that really like iconifies like your humor, your like personal taste? And I know that's like a big kind of mean question to ask, because it's a lot of like thinking, but if you have off the dome.
I mean, we had that whole conversation. I think you should leave. I think like in a perfect world, I feel like that's what LikeAFox, and Michael's told, this is Michael's words, not even my own. In a perfect world, that's what LikeAFox Studios would be, is it's like a season of just like really high production value like sketches that we just get to do and just like fuck around with and have fun, but it's like still kind of, you know, like one vision, but like not tied to like really any one thing.
Immediate follow-up. Have you guys seen Detroiters?
A little bit.
Okay. Because
I watched a little bit of it when it was on,
that's
like
lucky.
2015 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm definitely late to this, but like,
Me as well.
we both are. But they just put it on Paramount Plus, so like, I stole Jake's account and have been watching it nonstop, like quite literally. There's only 2 seasons, so it's not that long. I'm like on my 3rd watch through. I'm like, this is just, it's so funny.
Yeah, I saw it was on Paramount Plus, and I was like, I want to watch it because of, you know, I think you should leave. And I was like, well, who the fuck has Paramount Plus? And I like went home and turned on like my family TV, and I was like, we have Paramount Plus. What the fuck?
That's a fun
It's
Paramount.
always like parents that are getting Paramount Plus. I
Yeah.
don't know a young person who has it, but it's
Yeah.
Okay, well then do you guys have like a fate? And then I totally agree because I see that in your guys' comedy. I love it the way, or you know, whoever's writing, I love the way that there's always just like crazy shit going on. And I think that that's like, it's very absurd. And I think that that kind of to tell the backstory of how like we even like came to the conclusion, which is obviously we should have interviewed you guys, but Jake and I were like recording for the podcast and we were talking about the word restaurant and I was like, oh my gosh, I have the funniest video like to show you later. And I showed it to him. I'm like, is this not insane? Like, I was like, I know these people, like it's really well put together. And then he goes, wait, these are the Captain America Hiroshima people. And
Yeah. Crazy. And I had seen the restaurant, like the password one too. It was very surreal for Grace to be like, yeah, I know, I met these guys.
yeah, so you guys are kind of famous.
Kind of famous.
Probably the most famous people that we'll have on our podcast. This is so how, like, I guess when you guys kind of blew up, what was that like? What was the like, did you have a feeling where you're like, oh, this is the one?
Do you consider yourselves
famous
post blow up?
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe that's probably because I in my mind am seeing a timeline and I think we're still in like act 1. I think we can be in act 1. If this is as far as it goes, I'm happy and I'm proud of us, and the art is way more important than the views or anything to me. But I don't know. I don't want to be like, oh, everyone has seen one video of ours that has 1 million views and we have a bunch of subs, but like we crack 1,000 views a video. Like it's not like life changing, and I don't make a whole lot of money from it. I mean, like at all yet. So
just wait till this podcast drops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, we have a Patreon goal that we're kind of close to. That is, if we reach it, I have to make a 20-minute video of all of the really awful, cancelable stuff I've said when I was 15 in videos.
How?
And there's an unfortunate, like, pretty long list.
How bad does that get? Like, how cancelable are we talking here? To wet the whistle of the listener a little bit.
We all remember like pre-2016 humor. You know, I grew up with Family Guy. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, for sure.
That was my like comedic sphere for a little too long, and I was mimicking what I saw. And I don't want to make that video, but it would be pretty epic if we.
Yeah, I checked the Patreon today while I was just like looking at stuff for this, and it was like, you guys are at what? Like, you're like a few subs away, right? Like, you're pretty close.
We're at, I think, like $85, and that goal is 99. So, and that actually goes a long way, that money, but it also really feeds right back in because we're buying props and stuff pretty often. So, you know, it helps support the channel if people do that. I'm plugging too much. What was the question? The blow up thing. I don't.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, we've had 2 times now where the channel has grown a lot. And one of them was when I first made that Captain America video. It did really well on Reddit, and that was really crazy. And got a whole bunch more subs than I ever had. I had 100, and I was posting videos that I still think are really funny. You know, would get really excited if they got past 200 views. I had a video that's still one of my favorite videos I've ever made that I posted in January of 2018, and it got 110 views. That's just my friends on Facebook and like Twitter. And I thought it was really funny. And so I was like, I'm gonna keep sharing this. And so I never go on Facebook, so I just shared it. I like reshared my own post on Facebook just every day because I didn't care if I lost Facebook friends and I didn't care if it looked needy. I just wanted the number to be higher because I was like, this is funny. And I did it like 17 times or so. I did it way too many times. So that's like a funny anecdote about where I was. So then when I get a video that gets like, 500,000 views and I get like 4,000 subscribers in like a day, that was super crazy. That was really crazy like week. I was like super on it trying to make more stuff. And that really like kind of kicked me into gear of like taking the channel more seriously and like trying to make more sketches, trying to kind of make sketches that appealed more like broadly and weren't just like inside jokey, but also like I wasn't really doing that anyway. Just sort of trying to get more on a schedule. And then this year, believe it or not, through TikTok, that I posted, again, it's the same video. It's the Captain America video. I posted it on TikTok and it started doing really well on there. And that actually just reset the like algorithm to be like, oh, this video, people want to see it. So that video started getting views and then that funneled into all my other stuff. So then I posted a lot of other videos that were shorter this year. There was a video making fun of Redditors. There was a video that Johnno wrote that's like about
the Tinder one.
Yeah, it's about like a Tinder recruiter or like an army recruiter on Tinder. It's really funny. All those little skits were doing a whole lot better because of the one video blowing up and all of that kind of crescendoed. And we got to 10K subs in March and then we got to 20K subs back in July. And we're at like 21 now, which is pretty awesome. And we're trucking along. It's exciting. I don't consider that a blow up just because I don't want to take it too seriously. I want to be like, okay, there's more people. Okay, that's fine. I want to like, if I think too much about blowing up, I think I'll get view mindset and then I'll be like making, stuff I don't actually like. It's like, okay, it's like a little group. It's a little group. It's just bigger than you think.
Yeah, you don't want to be like on the YouTube Explore page, be like, what's funny here? What can I write a sketch about?
Yeah.
So, Johnno, you're still at Mizzou right now. What is this like something that you guys want to do like forever? Like, do you guys have like real jobs? Like, what is the? I guess that's more of like a personal question. Like, I just like, what are you guys up to?
Yeah. So like, this is all well and good, this silly little thing you do, but what's bringing home the money?
I didn't mean it like that. I was more just interested in like what you guys are up to, I guess.
Yeah, well, at this point right now, as I said, I'm finishing up my last semester of school. I currently am also working 2 jobs. One is like part-time, so like it doesn't really count, but like I'm still employed. Anyway, I do a lot of like video and graphic design stuff, just like at my own jobs. So like just like using Premiere. I'm not like insanely good. I'm not like really good about it, but
I've seen your creative video resume that
I forgot about that one.
Jake did a similar thing, and so when he like showed me his, I was like, oh, you gotta see. I was like, this guy that we're gonna interview, he also did one of these and it's great.
Here's the thing. I feel like being a video producer, like the skill of knowing how to edit video is like still such a fledgling, like new kind of thing that if you show like even an ounce of like creativity in it, people who are like 45 are like, hire him. Like that's what it's like. I used that video resume to apply to different jobs that aren't even for the company I wrote it for, and I got those jobs.
Oh yeah.
It just speaks to how good it is. That's what I'm thinking.
All you have to do is write a rap and make a really shitty music video to it, and you got yourself a job, baby. It's all it takes.
Yeah.
I love Michael's part in that video too.
Oh yeah, well Michael is filming the whole thing.
I'm named like Jack or something just for the sake of rhyme.
Just for the sake of rhyming. I'm like, I need to name you Jack. I'm so sorry. But that literally the way that entire thing was is I'm like, hey Michael, I need to make this video for this job I want to apply for. Can I eat up like 6 or 7 hours of your day? And he's like, yeah, sure. So like on a Saturday, we just walked around the Mizzou campus and they're
That was
like, this
fun.
looks like a fun spot, and just like would record one line and then walk somewhere else.
Well,
That was a good time. That was a good day. That was like right pre-pandemic too.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
wow.
like we were like so pumped. for
Well,
you to
because I
get
got
that
the job and then a week later it got canceled for Corona.
No.
That's how that went. Is I got the job and then 2 weeks later it was like March and it's like, hey, sorry, cuz.
I
Oh.
hate that for you.
Yeah.
So bad.
We hit the ground rolling though. We're fine.
Yeah. Yeah. You just you were like, oh, okay, they won't hire me. I'll use this exact resume at 2 other jobs, and then yeah,
And I got that.
boom, fuck them.
Yeah.
Love that for you. So Michael, you're just hanging out?
Yeah, I'm just I deliver food right now. It's not a fun job. I don't want to be there, but
Are you
we have this
on the apps, or are you delivering for a restaurant?
for like a restaurant.
Oh,
I'm like,
for sure.
I'm at least on like a schedule, but I don't know. I'm kind of in this hellish cycle that I've noticed that I'm in this year, where I'm trying to do 2 or 3 videos a month, and that keeps me just occupied enough to not try hard enough on job interviews or job applications. So I've been meaning to like update a whole bunch of stuff for the longest time, and instead today I edited a very stupid graphic for like 4 hours. Like right up until this, like I was doing it until like 6:55, and then I was like, oh, I should probably go wash my face because I'm about to be filmed. So I've done a little bit of video work. I actually just filmed the comedian Caleb Heron. He's knows our former Mizzou improv president Connor. He's a really great guy, really, really close friend of Johnno and mine. He reached out to Connor about like he was filming something in Kansas City, and Connor, bless his heart, reached out to me and another friend of ours and was like, hey, you guys like know what's up and you would be free on a Wednesday. Come to Kansas City and like film this like stand-up comedy show for us. We came and we got paid, and we didn't get paid a whole lot, but it was fun. There's a little stuff like that sprinkled in, but right now I'm mostly just hanging out, trying to take the video stuff super seriously, make enough money to pay rent.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's wild that's like.
Yeah, I think actually that's where I think I met Caleb at your guys' festival, if
He
I'm
was-
remembering correctly.
He's a really
Yeah,
sweet
he
guy.
was
He's
on
really
one
awesome.
of the professional teams.
It wasn't just his show too. It was Holmes.
Yes, I know her.
Holmes on Twitter.
Yes.
Great show. It was a very good show.
That was another kind of weird thing where it was like Jake was like, oh, like we were talking about like comedy on Twitter, and he brought up Caleb, and I was like, I've met these people, and
I feel like it's gonna be one of these things for the rest of my life where I'm like, oh, dude, have you seen this? And she's like, yeah, I know them. It's not a big deal. Well, they're just people.
it is a big deal. They're hilarious. They're all so funny. Yeah, I just like I think that's the other reason. Like, I love the way that you guys are able to like write like the short little sketches and the long form stuff. Like, obviously, I try my best to do sketch writing. I like to think that it's something I do, but I mean, I watch your guys' stuff and I'm like, damn, what the like I just like I really respect the ability to take like that really short form. Like I think the one you guys just did with the dog, like that was
With the car.
this is the most recent one with the dog. This is making me look like such an asshole, but I don't remember it.
Well, I was just gonna, because I was gonna bring up tangentially to what you said. Like I watched earlier, because it was the Army recruiter one that you brought up earlier, and then like there's one where you like you hit something in the car, and then like you find out it's like a little like dog, and they're both like these super short videos, and both of them made me like cackle. I'm not trying to just like gas you guys up, but just like to illustrate
I'm
Grace's
100%
point.
trying to grass you guys up. I love you
Yeah.
guys. How's
Those are fun. Those like one just punchline videos. I always think of them as that. It's like it's not really a skit. It's like it's a setup and a payoff. But like those are really fun to do, and it's fun to do stuff that's like harder, where you're like, okay, like let's do some fun lighting because it's 6 shots. Like why not? Like let's do something hard. And it's not, we haven't done anything that crazy, but like those are always fun way to like kind of experiment with little stuff.
Is there like a video that you can think of that was the most technically challenging?
I might need to think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's been, I'm forgetting the videos I've made, so I'm going to pull up really quick.
That's
For
okay.
sure.
That makes me feel better about forgetting
Yeah.
the video because he remembers. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
great.
Who cares? You know, it's fine. It's fine. If Michael doesn't remember, we don't have to remember. No, but while Michael's doing that, we'll cut over to you, Johnno. Johnno, what's your least favorite thing about Michael?
My least favorite thing about Michael is this is a pretty easy one. No, I'm kidding. This is gonna be like, oh, my least favorite thing about him, and then I'm just gonna compliment him.
For sure.
Because I love my friend Michael. He's my brother. I think I love the degree that I'm involved in LikeAFox, because I feel like I get to do the fun, easy stuff. Like if I have an idea, I can pitch it to Michael and we can make it a video and it's a fun time, you know, or like Michael's like, oh, I have this fun thing, you get to act in it. And I love acting and I love being kooky characters, and that's great. But Michael just like, it's the unending idea machine that like scares me. And sometimes it's like every other sentence is like, this is a bit. And I'm like, yeah, it is. But and it doesn't happen a lot. I love you.
I know. I think Max has made me worse about that. Because Max and I will be doing we'll be doing normal, organic, like I'm relaxed, just joking with Max. And then he'll be like, that could be a video. And I'll be like really tense up. Be like, oh my God, like I'm cataloging everything you just said so I can write it down later. And then it's like, and then later I think about it, I'm like, that wasn't that funny.
Yeah.
That was just good in the moment. That's okay. No, I totally get what you're saying. That's 100% real.
It's just it's the curse of living in a house where like 6 out of the 7 people who live here are a part of a comedy org.
I think you guys have that relationship too. Like when I was at Ball State, like APSO, the name of our group is like, yes, we all did improv together, but also yes, we were inseparable, like outside of APSO. So it's like anytime we're doing normal things or relaxing, as Michael called it, improv gets in there, and it's hard to stop doing improv when you're only with people who only know how to converse in improv.
I do think that's also probably why, because I also, to out myself, also did improv in college. And I think that's why so many people bristle against like improv and like people who do improv, is because some people
ends.
don't turn it off, you know?
You looked at me. That was
some people really don't know how to turn it off.
Yes. And when
but regardless, Michael, the thing you like the least about Johnno, and then we can go back to the original question.
Oh, the thing I like least about Johnno, probably that he's always getting hot. He's always getting too hot.
Yeah.
Sun. He's always saying, I'm getting hot. Johnno's always like, I can't remember that line. Let me hear it again. I'm like, I read it to you once. The worst part about Johnno is that he makes me do 2 takes. I can do it in 1 take. No, the worst part about Johnno is that he's so funny and he's so cute, and people probably think that it's his channel. Because I've accidentally made him the face of the channel for like months at a time every so often. And then I'll be in Discords with people I meet on YouTube, other YouTubers, and I'll be talking to them and go like, oh, like, yeah, like I just worked on this video. And they'll be like, hey, are you the guy with the middle part? And I'm like, no, that's not. I'm the guy with the mustache. And they'll be like, huh. And I'm like, you're going to have to scroll for a second to find the guy with the mustache, but he is there. He's behind the camera every time. Like,
I love that. I respect the guy with the mustache angle, that you can let all of your friends like shine in these things. But like I love that. I love that you're not that sounds, I was about to say, I love that you're not too involved, which is not what I meant at all.
Yeah, I love that you take a real hands-off approach to the YouTube channel that you built.
No, I feel like I was super, like, I reached out to Johnno because I was like, oh, I stayed at his house, you know, we're buds, we're friends, we've done improv together. Because I guess the way that I saw it, which is really interesting to hear, is I saw this as super like collaborative thing. I was like, oh, you guys are all doing it together. It's super impressive that you're, not to use the term lightly, the mastermind of LikeAFox Studios. Love that for you. Great. So everybody knows we're clearing the air right now. This channel belongs to Michael
Yes.
Berry. He's the guy with the mustache.
Can take it from my cold, dead hand. What was the question?
Most
The hardest
technical-
video?
Yeah.
The hardest video? I was like, why do I have another tab open? The real answer is it's probably this thing we're working on. But I won't say that because that's not a relatable answer. I can't talk about too much. I think we have a skit called Bump in the Night, which was probably some of the most moving parts we had at a time in a video. We've done videos for this film festival called Campus Movie Fest. We've done it 3 times now. And each time we won an award, which is pretty cool. And Bump in the Night won the most awards, which was very sick. But either way, when you do that contest, you have to make a video in a week. So you have to film it and edit it in a week. So it's always a challenge. And probably our biggest video we've ever done was the prank, just because that had like a cast of 30. And it had a whole group of students, and we like rented a school. It was awful.
You rented a school?
Well, we talked to a school and we got a room, and I paid $80. And
Oh, for sure.
I guess we rented a school, but we're just in a classroom.
We bought a zoo. We rented a school.
Yeah, we bought it. But that one was hard, but I don't think it had as many moving parts as Bump in the Night, where it's kind of all these nightmare creatures that are like living in sort of this green room of a kid's nightmare, waiting to like go on and perform like the nightmare. And the bit is that they're all, talking about, okay, how are we going to scare this like, little 6-year-old boy? And one of the monsters is like a sick classmate of the boy. So it's like Johnno is like a vampire that he's afraid of, and our friend Julian was like this horrifying mermaid queen and all this stuff. And then the thing that scares him the most is like a student who was sick and like stopped showing up to school, and like the teacher had to tell them all that he like had passed away. So it's written by our friend Jonah Desno, super funny guy. He writes every so often we'll do something written by him. He's like one of my best friends. We'd been wanting to make it forever, so we had to put it together, and it was this like super long shoot. Johnno is in this white face paint, and he's in these contact lenses that I don't know how he wore for like the 7-hour shoot. Julian had to do all this makeup to make herself kind of look like this like princess mermaid. Sarah's in this really funny dentist costume, and there's a puppet. That's the fun part, is that there's a dog character who's a puppet who's done by me, and I've like masked myself out out of the back of this like chair where I've like squeezed my arm through. And we didn't get done filming, and so we had to film more of it the next day on a completely different room that we've faked to look like the same room. And you can't tell, and I'm actually really proud of it. So there's like a shot where if it's like a close-up of the puppet, in the background, the mermaid girl isn't the same girl. It's like another friend of ours. And it's this whole thing, and it was all these moving parts, but it came together beautifully, and a lot of really good help from my friends. And we put it together, and we got all these like extra shots, and then I had to edit it in like 2 days. So that was probably the biggest where I was just like, okay, I'm just skipping class. I'm just not going to class today because I don't have 2 hours. And it was super fun, and I'm very proud of it.
I guess both of you, what was your favorite one to do? Like, what's the one where you're like, this was the best experience, or this is my favorite thing I've written, this is my favorite character I played?
There are some, I don't know, it kind of goes back and forth, because there's like very much like a contrasting gradient between like how physically demanding some videos are and like how fun they are. Like the one that we're filming now is a lot of fun to play. It's like I'm gonna give away just like a little bit. It's medieval themed, and so I get to wear like metal and leather armor in it, and we have like a metal sword, and it's so fun to play with. I feel cool in it, but at the same time, the first time we tried to shoot it, it was like 100-degree day.
That's what
And
Michael was
so, like,
saying, dude. You're always getting hot.
yeah, and so it's like it's hard, but like I have a fun time doing it. I think probably my favorite character, or one of my favorite characters that I've ever played, is the Boxing Day Butcher from the video Killer Presentation. That was a video where the Captain America video was actually my first video that I was ever in. I am the extra that says the first line where he goes, "Guys, I don't think anyone's coming," or something like that. And then he
That's
just
such
gets
an
like
important
knocked out.
part. That's such
That's
an important
me.
part.
That's your boy. But I think Killer Presentation is like the first video where like I got like a main role, because it's like as Michael and I guess became better friends, he was like, this guy's cool. I'll throw him a bone. But yeah, that video was really fun. So much of it was like uh there are a lot of parts of it that were like very improv-y. So I just got to have fun with it being like this weird serial killer. The costume was super fun. It was just like covered in fake blood and bandages. And like I had this fun machete that I was just like always brandishing and like throwing around. Okay. And the Spider-Man video. Just because I got to wear a Spider-Man. The Spider-Man video, fucking phenomenal. That was so fun.
Yeah, when you guys do your videos that are like when you're, referencing like real things and doing those like costumes, they're always like so like spot on. Like when the one but you do the hot ones with the Joker.
Oh
and
my
again,
God,
not to
yeah.
bring up Thomas again, but
Grace came into this. We were talking before the podcast. She was like, "I'm going to talk about the guy that's not in the interview a lot, just so you know."
so love Thomas. I don't know what to tell you. He's hilarious. But I'm always like, your costumes are so good.
That's something I've actually been very deliberate about, is that like I think there's a lot of jokes that would get through if it just was like, oh, and here I am wearing like a shitty like Halloween costume, or like, there's that whole genre of like YouTube comedy where you put a piece of paper on someone that says like
Yeah.
Batman or something. But I've always thought like, and that's funny, and people do that, and I like those people, but I've always thought like, okay, I'm gonna be different because I am very into like costumes, and I really love production design, and I love stuff like that. And that's like, to me, that's like the toy box of filmmaking is like, okay, let's put on the robot costume. So that's something I've always tried to really like breathe that through the channel, where it's like, okay, we're gonna make the hot one set. Like we're gonna rent a Joker costume, and we could probably just do it like get a shitty Halloween one, but we're gonna like go get a good one, and like that will be what we're known for. Like that's what I want.
That's definitely to your benefit, because I think that's what makes people want to take you guys seriously, because you go all the way, and it's impressive, like especially given your age and like how many resources you may or may not have, or on average, like what you would have expecting from, college students. Like, I think that just goes back to what I was saying earlier, like the quality, it really shows through. And I think it elevates the comedy in a way, because the comedy is not just like, oh, that's funny, they don't have the props or they don't have the proper. It's like, we can just focus on the jokes that you guys wrote because everything else is in place. That's really cool. I like that philosophy there, Michael. Good. You guys do okay. I guess this is like a random thought that I have. Are you guys like, so do you see yourself like as writers, performers, like stand-up comedians? Where I guess that kind of ties into this secondary question I have. Like, what was the thing that inspired you, where you saw something funny and you're like, that's what I want to do when I grow up? Like, are you, because when you talk, Michael, it kind of feels like you're coming from this more like filmmaking perspective. And I feel like from what I know of like Johnno, I know that you do film editing and stuff, but you seem to be performing. You're obviously writing. How would you, not that you have to label yourself, but if you had to label yourself, what would it be?
Yeah, not that you have to label yourself, but label yourself right now.
I would say that I'm like, if I had to label myself, I would say that I'm probably mostly a performer. I love acting, and doing character work, and I feel very comfortable like reading a script and like getting the rundown of a character and being like, okay, what mannerisms can I do for this? What kind of voice should this person have? What can I try to do that would make this funny? I do try to write sometimes, but I think I just I either don't follow through like with ideas fully, and I'm just like, I'm not going to develop this into anything. I don't think I have like the like consistent like discipline and patience that Michael has to just like constantly be like thinking of new stuff. What can I write? What's funny? What's like a new angle that I can take at this stuff, which I very deeply respect in my friend. It's very impressive, and I don't think I tell him that enough.
I can say something super quick, John. I actually think we write together really well. I'll find that I structurally can like ask questions where I'm like, okay, well, how do you do this? How do you end it? Like, how do we flip this on its head for a third beat and stuff like that? But then you're just really good at being like, what if he just said this? Like you're very like, you're kind of like a bit machine. I felt like that when we were writing the new one, that it was like, I was like, okay, we should probably like do 2 more bits here. And then you have like 6 bits in mind that we could do. I don't know. I think Johnno is a very good writer. He's got really good stuff, and he's got really good like a bit mind, I think. I think I would consider myself the broad term of filmmaker, which is a cop-out. That's me copping out because I think writing is fun, and I think it's good, and I think I'm good at it, but it also makes me like feel insane more than the other stuff. But putting it all together, I don't know, like I wouldn't give up any part of it, I think, because if I couldn't be there for filming, I'd be like, what's the point? And if I didn't get to edit the whole thing, I'd be like, well, what's the point? You know, like I like all 3. And I like to act. I used to be afraid to act. Not afraid. I did like theater and stuff in high school, but I used to tell myself that I should make the videos and I should cameo in them from time to time. Director cameo, like I could give myself a really good bit. You can kind of see that in like 2019. I'm not really the lead guy for that first half of the year in any skit. And then at some point last year, I was kind of just like, no, that's dumb. I'm a good actor. And then I tried to act more, and I actually found it really, really rewarding. And now I'll write sketches, and I'll be like, yeah, this is me. This one's for me. I find now that I'm writing them more and being like, oh, I'm excited to act here, and I'm like picking out who I get to be in them. I don't know. That's a whole lot of words to say. I'm not answering your question.
No, that's fine. I love a jack of all trades. I wasn't trying. I was just trying to see like how you view yourself, because I think it's, I don't know. I like to hear how, when you're kind of one of those people that like floats in between many arts, I think it's interesting to hear like what that person considers themselves, whether or not that is a label that is recognizable or just, you know, a broad term or anything in between. Because somebody asked me that the other day too. They were like, okay, so are you a writer or a performer? And I was like, ooh, I don't know, maybe both. But so I just thought I'd pass along the question. That was
So you got asked a question that made you
feel weird.
So
I was like,
so you
I'll
were
make
like,
other people feel
for
weird.
sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Good question though.
Speaking of questions, here's another one. So I like I said earlier, I went on the Patreon and I looked and I saw the $99 goal of, you know, you releasing the 20-minute tape exposing yourself. Oh, what? That actually I shouldn't say, like you releasing the 20-minute tape of, you know, problematic moments.
Exposing myself.
Yeah. I was wondering, do you have like a goal in mind right now where if like in a month's time or a year's time, the Patreon hit this or the sub count on YouTube hit this, that you want to get to? Or is it kind of more just like a riding the wave type thing right now?
I don't know. I think if I could get to a point, because I'm still very actively marketing myself right now. And it's interesting. I see my peers in this field, people similar sizes than me. I have a guy I've been talking to recently who's a YouTuber, and he's a really nice guy, and he's got a channel around the same size as me. He does better on his Patreon, and he does better like comment wise. And those are things I'm trying to get better at, like engaging with people, kind of like building a relationship. Because I think it gets kind of faceless when the picture is like a little cartoon of a fox, and it's not, the channel isn't called like Michael, you know, and like people don't know me. So it's a little harder to like engage with, but it would be nice to get a little better at that and to get to a point where I'm seeing more money that I can actually work with from that, and where I'm maybe seeing more growth constantly. But also just to get to a point where I'm not marketing myself as much. I'm still, if I post a video and I just post it on YouTube, I will get anywhere from like 1,000 to like 5,000 views. We did one with Johnno just earlier this month, and we got 5,000 views, and I thought it was really funny. And we did one right before that, and we got like 1,000, and that's fine. But I'm still very actively like posting my own stuff online. I'm putting it on TikTok and on Instagram and on like different places on like Reddit and Twitter, and really trying to make it as shareable as possible. And while that's really fun, and it's fun to kind of make stuff with that mindset, it would be really nice to kind of get to a point where I can just make stuff and just let it go, and it would soar on its own. And that would kind of, that's, I guess, my goal is to get to whatever number. Number doesn't really matter. It's kind of more like to get to a point where it's like, yeah, I didn't post this one on Reddit or something. Like someone else did that for me, and I didn't tell them to. They did it because they liked it. And that's the size we're at. I think it would be really nice to get to that point. And there's a lot of work between where I'm at and that point. But that I guess is my goal more than any specific number, because I don't really know, from the outside, I can't really know what any of those numbers mean. Like there's people with 50K subscribers that probably think that's nothing, or they probably think that's a huge amount. I can't get in their heads. So I'm not going to say that like there's a number that I'm waiting for. It's more just like, if I could get to a point where I can post a video and I can see a lot of engagement and a lot of stuff from it, and I can just know that people who want to see it are seeing it, because I'm still getting a lot of those comments that are like, how is this channel not doing better? And I'm like, I don't know either. I don't know either. And I'm not saying I deserve it, but I'm saying like, clearly people are finding the channel and are going, where has this been? And so I guess I just want to make myself really findable, because I've always kind of had a belief that what we do is funny and it's good, and it's not perfect. Like we don't deserve 1 million subscribers, but there's people out there who don't know about us who would laugh at every video, and I want them to find it because I want to make their day better. So that's kind of how I thought about it.
It's a very nice like way to answer that. My other question was, when you hit that $99 a month, is there another thing after that? Have you thought about like what's next for like Patreon goals of like, I mean, you're coming out the gate swinging with like I will reveal my problematic past. Like what?
I don't know. I've thought it with a lot of the stuff like Patreon. Like I didn't want to make a Patreon until I had 5,000 subs, because I went, I'm not going to ask my friends for money.
Yeah.
And the joke is that the punchline to that is that most of the people on there are Johnno's on there, and friends of ours are on there. But the idea in my mind is sort of like, okay, well, like if people are interested, I want to give them that to find, and I want people who want to fund it to be able to. But I don't really want to like beg too much, but also, I noticed recently that we were at 80 a month, and I thought, okay, well, let's set a goal for 99, and let's see if we can push it, and not push it like, oh, please give me money, but push it like, okay, like let's take this seriously. Let's like offer a reward. And I can, I'm saying it like I'm gonna like ruin my life if I have to make that video. But the truth is that video is a great opportunity, because it gives me an opportunity to just do like 10 apologies in a row that I've done privately but have not been documented.
You'll be doing like a YouTuber gauntlet of like running through like 10 different apology videos.
And then, say the channel keeps doing well, and then a couple months from now, someone's like, have you seen this video? I'm like, I've addressed it. Have you seen the video where I address it? It's at the 10-minute mark, and there's a bunch of jokes. So I don't know, maybe that's insensitive, but I don't know. I don't want to set a goal until we reach one. If we hit 99, that would be awesome. But I'm not, the money is just going vaguely back into the channel to buy props and to buy stuff. So right now I'm not thinking like, oh, we need a bunch of money, but I also, I'm very much of the mindset like, okay, artists should make money for making art, blah, 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 blah. I have guys that I love on YouTube who make videos less frequently and shorter than me that have more on Patreon. So, and that's not me saying like, oh, I deserve it. That's me saying like, no, it's not about like, I'm thinking like, oh, am I offering enough to ask for money? And it's like, no, people will donate if they want to. So let's just keep that open. Let's just allow people to do that if they want to. It's also like, if I made $200 on Patreon a month, I wouldn't then go like, oh, sweet, I'm getting Popeyes. I would be like, oh, cool, I'm going to buy a nicer costume than I was going to, that I don't need. I could probably make the video without it, but like, sweet, I want to do it this way. Like, this is a better video for this. And like I said, the video John and I are making, we kind of put a lot of money into a lot of medieval props and costume pieces. And I've been able to do that because I have this stored up amount of money from Patreon, and it actually funded the whole thing. So that money it goes somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a really great like just mentality to have with the Patreon aspect. Like, it seems like, Michael, I mean, I just met you like an hour ago, but it seems like you're very much so, as you kind of said yourself, like almost entirely like it's all about like the art of it, you know? And I think that distancing the Patreon from like a money making thing and like viewing it as like a donation, that's such, I feel like, a healthy way to view that. That's like such like a good mindset. Again, not to gas you up. I meant to be a lot meaner, but you guys are just very nice. So
Yeah, sorry if you guys are getting sick of us just asking you question after
yeah.
question.
Do you have any questions for us?
Don't.
Yeah, don't. No, I'm just. That was it.
Grace, you mentioned that you were doing like, I think it was mentioned earlier, you're doing like comedy in Chicago.
If you ever visit, need a place to stay, ever need to film on location in Chi-Town.
If you're ever trying to take video of the Bean or the Art Institute.
Yeah, if you ever want to do Captain America didn't know about the Bean.
The Bean, yeah.
This is now the hour where Jake and I pitch to you our great
Right.
idea.
Okay. So here's the idea. Okay. Fade in from black, the Bean.
Done.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go.
No. The Bean, I think, is funny enough that just 5 seconds of the Bean.
And then
is good.
and then somebody walks up to the Bean and they flick it.
Oh, flicking the Bean.
You know what I learned recently?
I made that video when I was 12.
Did you really?
Yes, I have a video on my phone that is me running in Millennium Park up to the Bean, flicking it, and then running back into my dad's car that was waiting on the side of the road, because I'm like, that's all I want to do. I don't care about it.
Great minds think alike. Look at this. That's insane.
Sorry, I think you were saying something.
Yeah, sorry, Michael.
Yeah, Michael was probably saying something actually inside.
No, it actually absolutely wasn't. I learned recently that a train ticket from my hometown, which is like south of Kansas City, to here, to Columbia, is a round trip is $50. A train ticket from my hometown to Chicago is $60. That's like 200 miles, and it's a $10 difference.
Kind of sounds like you're about to sleep on Grace's couch sometime.
I heard that and I was like, my friend told me that, and she was like, oh, I'm like going to Chicago soon, like to visit some friends, because it's a $60 ticket. I was like, what? Because I was like, that's crazy. I was like, I'm going to Chicago probably now.
That is
some point
nuts.
Because oh my god, what?
Yeah, because a little plane ticket from like south of Kansas City like to Chicago, that'd be like 200 easy, right?
Probably. It's like a hilarious flight because it's like 33 minutes or something.
Yeah, I once took a flight from Chicago to St. Louis. That was insane. It was like 30 minutes. And this is also a fun story. I took a flight from Indianapolis to Chicago just to see John Mulaney. So that was awesome.
You just love using jet fuel. That's
I
kind of
do.
like your whole shtick.
I hate the environment, but I love jet fuel. I have like one more like question, and we've been eating up a bit of your time here.
Yeah.
But if you guys, I guess we kind of asked this later, but besides like, I think you should leave, what do you think is like your comedy like inspiration, like something that maybe you saw when you were younger and you're like, oh, this is why I want to do this, or something you've seen now besides I think you should leave that you're like, oh, I want to emulate this or, be like this when I grow up, quote unquote?
And is it a podcast? And is it
Was it my improv? Is it any joke that
you start, Johnno, because I need to think for a second.
Okay, I have like a couple things, I guess. My dad was really, really, to this day, I shouldn't even say is obsessed with Seinfeld. And we own every season. I've seen every episode multiple times before I was 10, and I was always like to, it's the classic like person who does comedy or improv, like I just always love to make people laugh. Lame fucking thing. But I always just thought that was fun. And so for the longest time as a kid, I was like, I'm gonna move to New York City and I'm gonna be a stand-up comic. And like that's what's up. And as I've grown older, I've done stand-up before and it's fun and I respect people who do it. I don't think it's as much for me. The dream has changed, in whatever way that is. But I think that was a huge influence on me, is like Jerry Seinfeld's stand-up and just like the show in general, because it was so like kind of improv-y and so relatable humor kind of thing. And then also I don't do anything similar to him, like I don't emulate him in any way, shape, or form. But growing up, Bo Burnham, fucking love that dude. Everything he did, it just like, so I guess it's like stand-up comedy a lot, but it's very stand-up comedy heavy kind of stuff. But him doing that, and also just like seeing that's like, oh, he did this from his computer at home. Like he did like all the stuff, and now he's like, fucking 17 and like selling out shows and stuff like that. Was like a big driver of like, oh, this is something that a kid can do. A little bit of like is like kind of how I viewed it when I was in like grade school, high school. So like I took like improv camp in the summers, like between grade school and high school and stuff like that. And that's, I feel like those are two big influences for me where I'm like, oh, this is like comedy is like something you can pursue. It's not just like, oh, I'm just like funny with my friends or something like that. I think those are probably the first things that like probably pushed me towards wanting to like do some sort of comedy thing in my life.
Yeah, I feel like that's like an interesting thing that I think a lot of people who wind up doing the stuff that you guys, or even like with Grace, like pursuing comedy for college and stuff, I feel like there's always like that moment somewhere along the line of like, oh, this is not just like a hobby, like you can actually like make a living, or like even if you don't wind up making a living, you can make a life with it,
Yeah.
And on to you, Michael.
Yes.
I don't know. I always liked doing anytime there was like a class project when I was a kid that could be a video, I would always jump on that. I don't know what the start of that was. Maybe something we just made for fun. But I was always very into the idea of like making a video. I remember, I think there was like an aha moment for me as like a little kid when I watched the Muppet movie. If you've ever seen the like 1979
Yes.
Muppet movie.
I have the soundtrack to that movie on vinyl in my room.
Such a good, it's still one of my favorite movies. And it's like very much like, it's this really fun, like kind of like, it's a movie about them getting together and like making a movie, but it's also like, you're like, you can't watch it and not think about how it's a movie while you're watching it. And so you're watching, you're like, how do they do this? Like, oh my gosh, there's a guy underwater and he's got the puppet. Oh, that's a guy in a suit. Like you're thinking about these things the whole time. I think that really got me as a kid thinking about movies and stuff as something that can be made. And then I think when I was like 10, I was introduced to Monty Python, and I was very into them when I was like a little kid. Not a little kid, like, 10, 11. And I would watch Holy Grail and I would watch Meaning of Life. And they were both, I really enjoyed them. And that was, I think, my introduction to like sketches kind of. And I really liked that. And I watched the behind the scenes of it. And there's like a behind the scenes of Holy Grail that you can watch. That's them going back to the real castles they filmed in. and they go back in like 2004, like so that they're going back years and years later.
So these are post 9/11 castles.
Yeah, absolutely.
For
These
sure.
are reinforced castles.
Yeah.
No, but they're pointing them out and they're like, oh, here's where we filmed one scene, and then they turn the camera and they're like, that's where we filmed 2 other scenes, and that like struck me as a kid that I was like, oh, that's so fun. You like move your couch over and it's a different room. Like you put a plant in, and I never noticed that these 2 opposite scenes of the movie are filmed in the same room, just like you moved the camera once. And I think that was like really a spark for me, is like being interested again in like that very behind the scenes stuff. Again, I think about filmmaking a lot as like a big toy box. And I think that was kind of one of those moments where it was like, oh, that's so fun. Like how crazy is that? You just stand in a different part of the room in a different outfit. And then you look at it later and you're like, that looks real. I've invented a room from nothing. And then when I was in like middle school, I really liked The Whitest Kids You Know. I was a big fan of them. Rest in peace, Trevor Moore. Really, really funny guys, and it's all aged so poorly. I remember watching those with the guys, with the middle school friends that I eventually started all of this with, that I started making videos with, that I really got into actually writing with. And that's what we were thinking. We were like, we could do this. We're like, it would be so fun to do this. And I think that was really kind of that inception of like, let's make little skits. Like, let's make just fun little things, and they could be dumb. And like, it'll be us, and it'll be us as like, you know, in different outfits. I don't know. I think it's always great. And again, all that stuff is kind of goofy now, but it's like great to have stuff like that when you're growing up. That's like, oh my gosh, like this just looks like friends. Like this just looks like people hanging out. And for the longest time, that's all me making videos was. And I like to think it still is, like, in spirit. And I don't know, that just meant a lot to me at that time. And I think that really showed me like a kind of art that is like silly and is fun and is just like, I don't know, it's just like all about the joke. It doesn't need to be deeper than that. And it can be, but it doesn't need to be. And it's, I don't know. It was just, those are my 3 weird, like scattershot, I think like inspiration moments that at some point created whatever this whole thing is.
Both of you are so endearing and genuine. I just want to
Yeah, this is probably like our most wholesome episode. Usually like it's an hour of Grace and I being vaguely rude to each other. And this has been like very, very nice. This has been a good change.
I do want to see some of that.
Oh, well, if you wanted to see some of it, Michael, you could hop on over to youtube.com/endmysuffering podcast. I don't actually know what the URL is, but End My Suffering on YouTube and any podcasting platform.
You really got to look for it.
You do, dude. Yeah, because we just started doing YouTube because Grace had coworkers at her unnamed Republican restaurant that she worked at who were like, we are not going to listen to audio because we want to be able to see facial expressions. But yeah, just to get some shameless plugs in there.
Well, that was my next thing, was going to be like, this is your time. There's a camera there. There's a camera. There's only one camera on you. Go again. Plug anything you want, anything you need. Your time.
We are LikeAFox Studios. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter as LikeAFox Tweets. Because I made the Twitter for LikeAFox Studios like years ago, and I made it wrong, and I don't know the password, and I tried to find it. I did a whole like day of I was a weekend project, and I didn't end. And then we're on Instagram.
He's getting I can see that.
We might be other places. We're on Patreon. So if you got a couple bucks to throw our way and you love sketch comedy, you want to support it, do that. But if not, totally cool.
All these links will be in the description here.
Yeah. And check it out. If it's your thing, sub. If you're not, hey, thanks for your time.
Of course. Johnno, do you have anything you want to plug?
I think probably Michael kind of nailed it. LikeAFox is really the big mamacita.
You should just follow Johnno.
I have some very cringy like improv recordings that happened over quarantine where it's like, don't let these orgs die, but we're never gonna post on those YouTube channels again. So I'm not even bother plugging them.
Dude, we did the same thing for my senior year of college.
Yeah.
Like our improv troupe made a YouTube channel and recorded our shows, and it's truly like, why did we do that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine being the improv major in the senior year?
That's insane.
Yeah.
I think
I think our biggest claim to fame was we did like a PowerPoint party.
Oh,
It's like a 2.5 hour video because we had like 8 people each do a PowerPoint, and mine was the longest. It was like 45 minutes. Everybody else was
Jesus
like 10. I went so hard on it.
what was it on?
It was which member of like the improv group, which Muppet would everybody fuck?
Oh.
And it's
was yours?
really well
I
done.
was fully waiting for that to end. Which Muppet would everyone be? But you really flipped it on its head there.
No. It's which Muppet would everybody fuck, and it's immaculate.
Can you give away what your Muppet was, Johnno?
My Muppet was mine is the very last one.
So should we save it? Should we like? is
I
that a
would
spoiler?
prefer to save it, but no one's actually gonna watch it, so I'll just tell you. It's the 80s robot from the Muppet movie.
Nice.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I picked the Muppet equivalent of a fleshlight because I was feeling lonely when I made the PowerPoint.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Great content. I'm probably gonna go watch that.
Yeah.
That's on okay. At comedy_wars Instagram. I don't know why I plugged that. But there
No,
you go.
I
No,
love
the
it.
people need to know.
The people do need to know.
Yeah, if you're gonna subscribe to something, subscribe to LikeAFox. Please.
I'm already subscribed. I'll unsubscribe and then subscribe again.
Yeah.
If
Same
you're
here.
subscribed to LikeAFox, unsubscribe, subscribe to Comedy Wars.
No,
I don't
This is
want
where the real art is being made.
It's
You
not.
gotta get over there.
No.
We're gonna mobilize the pyramid of listeners that we've built.
Johnno's trying to be modest, but
Uh,
no room for humbleness
No,
here.
no. This is a wholesome podcast episode. We're supporting you.
And in the comments, which Muppet would you fuck?
Oh yeah, leave us
Yeah.
in the comments below. Let us know which
Muppet
Muppet would
would
you
you
fuck. All right,
Alright,
sweet. So yeah, thank you guys so
yeah,
much.
again, thank you so much. It was so
Thank
good
you
catching
guys.
up with you guys.
Yeah, it's so good to see
Give
you.
everybody my love. I don't know. Talk to you guys probably soon.
Yeah.
If not, have a great school year. Have a great life. Try not to die.
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi guys.
Okay. Thank
Bye,
you so much.
guys.
It's
Thank
great
you.
to see you.
So that was our interview with Michael Berry and Johnno Cary of LikeAFox Studios. As we said, all of their links will be in the description. Please check them out. I'm
Please,
telling you,
yeah.
you won't regret it. And if you're feeling generous, their Patreon could use some love. As you heard Michael so earnestly say, all that money goes back into their videos. And honestly, he was being modest about it, but I think they deserve it. So
Yeah, truly. I mean, they're we're like, oh, we got a couple of sketch comedians on the pod this week, and I don't want people to be like, oh, these are people making rinky dink little point and shoot type things.
no,
These are
this
like
is
some of
blockbuster quality.
some of like the most insanely good looking and funny sketch comedy that I've seen.
Yeah,
come
two
out of
handsome
YouTube.
guys. Real
Two, yeah,
really
they're
good looking.
really just a couple of hunks making very high quality sketch comedy. So I think everyone would benefit from going to check them out.
And as always, you can find us on Twitter at EMS Pod.
Yes.
And you can find some of our content on Jake's Instagram at Jake's Hot Friend. And you can just find me on Twitter also at Graceful Gozy.
Also, if you're listening to this on an audio platform and you want to see the facial expressions and experience the raw reality of podcast recording, you can go to YouTube and find us. We're End My Suffering with an exclamation point at the end. You might have to scroll for a minute to find us, but we are there, I promise. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
The podcast is over now.